coming up.
There's an energy on set that you can feel where everyone is there to do their best work.
Yep.
And it's like a well-oiled machine that's just running and running and running and running. As we grow older, I think the world just gets more complex. I think it has the potential to do more damage than it does good. And I think, yes, there are arguments for efficiency and shortcuts.
Yep.
But when I look at those words, I just don't see the value. Man, did we lose something like in cinema?
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. My name is Kieran, and like always in this podcast series, I'm just going to be sitting down with some very interesting people to sit down and talk with them, and just have an interesting conversation and find ways that we can all learn, grow, develop, whether that be physically, spiritually, mentally, financially, business-wise, hell, even other forms of ways of growing and learning. As long as I find the conversation interesting, and as long as I find ways that we can all learn and grow, that's all, and as long as we can all find ways that can learn and grow, that's all that really sort of, that's all that sort of matters. And today with me, sorry about that, folks. And today with me is one of my closest friends, one of my closest mates, Christian Valenzuela. Christian, how are you, mate?
I'm doing great. I'm surprised you aced that pronunciation there, Kieran. That's a very tricky last name to get right, and you smashed that out of the park.
Well, mate, when you've had, 15 years?
Something like that.
When you've had 15 years of trying to pronounce that there, mate, I mean, I think I pronounced that wrong when we actually met first in high school. I think I kept pronouncing it wrong the first few weeks, and I was just like, and then when one of the teachers just sort of said your last name, I was like, oh, and then you then said your last name again. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh my goodness, you've got a killer memory there, Kieran.
Yeah, well, mates, I mean, I do try to remember some things. I mean, but then again, people also do say I have a pretty bad memory. But
You've got a great memory.
Well, I mean, I try to. But anyway, so Christian, so tell us a little. For those of you that don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself, and tell us a bit about yourself.
Of course. So I work full time at a Christian radio station called Hope 103.2. I'm their video producer. Why would a radio station need a video producer? Because they need videos for their social media, their YouTube channel, etc., etc. So I've been doing that for a couple of years now. I've been working in the media space as well as in the aged care space. And I'm a follower of Christ, been so for, yonks, so long. Happily married. Celebrated 1 year of marriage in May this year. If I got that wrong, I would not be alive here, Kieran.
Oh, well, mate. Well, I'll be sure to, when the episode airs, I'll be sure to check in on you and in a few weeks to actually, in a few weeks after. And if you go missing there, mate.
You know what happened.
I know what happened.
Don't ask any questions. She'll come for you next.
No. I mean, that's all right there, mate. But, I mean, mate, you said there with, as a videographer and whatnot.
Sure.
For those that don't know you,
yep.
How'd you get into it?
How did I get into Oh my goodness, that's such a big question. I guess it started with my love of films and filmmaking and film production. I still remember some of the films that just watching it on, they used to have these things, Kieran, called video.
Yes.
Where we used
the VHSs, yes. I think I've still got some at home and whatnot. I mean, me as a collector want to keep them, and
there you go.
So the good old videos.
Yes, so I still remember watching, I think it was Jurassic Park on video, and that was the movie that sparked my imagination and my creativity and my love for film and just the things you could do and just the magic of cinema.
Oh, wow.
And so I think ever since then, and that's still my favorite film of all time. And so I think ever since then, I just fell in love with cinema and the theater and film production. I loved the behind the scenes as well as actually watching films, because I think some people can either lean towards one or the other, but I absolutely loved both. And so that just kind of graduated into photography in high school, as you know.
Yes,
you were there.
Yes, we were there. Yes, yes.
So it was that, and then into studying at the New York Film Academy Australia, just in their Sydney campus down the road. So I was doing that, and then I did a couple trimesters in SAE, Creative Media Institute, before I was pulled out of there straight into the workforce at a marketing agency.
So how was that? I mean, at the New York Film Academy Australia, because we hear that because that area is such a in the videography, I mean, and all that there, it's such a very hard area to sort of break into, and also just a hard area full stop to actually find people. I mean, like obviously it's a big industry, but it's so hard to sort of find people. How was it, and also how was also just the experience, and also just learning with your
sure. So New York Film Academy Australia was it was 1 year there, and it was so much fun, and unlike anything else I've ever experienced. And I think unlike a lot of film students have experienced probably as well, only because when we went in, the university was still quite kind of fresh. They were still starting up. And we were I think the second group of filmmakers to go through or something like that. And so what that meant was that they had a strong emphasis on practical learning and not on theory-based learning. So literally they would encourage us to just go rent a camera. Like they had their own equipment. Obviously they would encourage you to just rent the cameras, rent gear, go make stuff. And they still had theory-based tests and quizzes. But literally, I remember them going through the test with us beforehand, just talking us through the questions, and then they'd give the test to us and go, cool, now you know the answers, you can do the test.
Wow. I wish it was that easy.
Yes, and we were just blown away every time, and they were like, we have to do the test because it's a mandate, but we don't really care, so just go.
Wow, I wish a lot of things in life were just that easier. I mean, could you imagine the amount of stuff that we could have just gotten done if things were just that easy? I mean, oh wow. I mean, but you also, I mean, with your videography and also with like your freelance stuff there as well. So far, projects and all that there. Can you sort of are you allowed to sort of say what projects you've been in and whatnot?
I can say what I've been in. So I've been editor on a few short film projects. I've also been assistant editor. So I really love the post-production process. And then I think I've been in the post-production crew on a feature film as well. And then right now I'm just freelancing with a couple small gigs with some people at work. They have their own kind of side businesses going on, and they need some videography done. But then I'm the person for them. So
wow, mate. Wow. I mean, if I need any videography there, help, mate. I'll be sure to call you up there, mate. I mean,
exactly.
But yeah. I mean, that there's like honestly so wow. I mean, so like as you said there, you like the post production.
I do.
You like the post production.
I do.
But what was it like? I mean, in the like. You said there that you worked on like a feature film and also in the small short films and whatnot. Like obviously you get to see everything and whatnot. But like what's it like? I mean, like being more behind the scenes. I mean like everyone always sort of says the glitz and the glamour for being on the front of the screen and whatnot. But there's also people there that work behind the scenes like yourself and like like writers and like other producers and all that stuff there. But what's that? I mean, like, what's that like?
What's it like being on a film set? And
I mean, like, obviously, I've been on a film set, but also being on like just also working in the post production of a film, and also like knowing that your film is also out there for people to sort of see, or for for other people there to sort of see as well.
Sure. So on the short film productions and kind of smaller feature film productions I've been on, it's a tricky thing to describe, but it's really there's an energy on set that you can feel where everyone is there to do their best work, and it's like a well-oiled machine that's just running and running and running and running, and it's not stopping, and it's so much fun, and it's so much it's great to witness everyone performing at the top of their game, and it's just it's just running like a well-oiled machine.
Oh,
It's a crazy thing to witness, and there's an energy and a vibe there that is just addicting.
Oh, wow.
In terms of like the turnaround and the speed and the professionalism, it's a great thing to be a part of.
Wow. Wow, that just sounds like honestly, mate, you're making me a bit jealous there, brother.
There you go.
You're honestly making me jealous there. Wow. Like you just sort of got me a bit speechless there, brother. Yeah, but yeah. Oh shit. Sorry there, folks. Sorry about that, there, folks. But what do you think has obviously from when you first started? From obviously from when you first started to about now, because technology is sort of changing.
Sure.
You know, we are putting in AI. This is actually one question here to which I wanted to ask. Thoughts on that? Thoughts on that, the change in the technology or the evolution of technology and the implementing of AI. Do you think that that's gonna is that a good thing? Is that helping you, or is that hindering you, or like is it what? What are some of the what are your thoughts on the evolution of technology and with AI?
Oh wow, that's a huge question, Kieran. My relationship with AI is a complicated one. I am.
Isn't it always?
Yes. I am in the negative camp.
Really?
Don't think I don't think it is going to enrich this platform and this medium. I think it has the potential to do more damage than it does good. And I think, yes, there are arguments for efficiency and shortcuts.
Yep.
But when I look at those words, I just don't see the value in efficiency and a shortcut if you can learn to do it yourself and pay someone experienced to do it themselves.
Yep.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There's like, if I can just ask AI to do something for me, like do concept art or write a description or write a video title, to me there's no value in me asking that. Whereas if I'm learning to do those things correctly, there's value in that knowledge.
Yeah. That's a very interesting point there. Because I think AI, it is something there to which, you know, people are going to have to learn to sort of work with, and it is currently a growing space, and I do because we are starting to see in like the editing and the filming, because even just on like social media, like you see so many ads about doing like using AI and all that sort of stuff there now, and it really does pose sort of like an interesting question to the point of like AI and all that there, because you sort of said there, you know, like you're not learning the skill, like you're just telling AI what to do, and I think that there is basically, I think, of like a very valid point there, because it's kind of like riding a bike, you know, like you go on with your training wheels, you know, like everyone starts off with their training wheels. Unless you're an absolute great of a cyclist and whatnot, first go to not go with training wheels, but everyone goes on with training wheels, and then after a while they then take the training wheels off, and then they then go from the training wheels to then just normal. Whereas with the AI, it's basically like you're not even really riding the bike at all, so to speak. It's almost like you're just taking, like, it's like someone else is riding the bike for you, and you're just there for the long. So I think so I think it does come with its cons in that sort of sense there. But I think for someone there that's starting out, there are some good aspects on there, because like, so that way there you can learn how to do it. You can learn, like with the learning aspect. But I do think that if you just rely on it, then you're not going to learn anything.
Agreed.
So I think that's where I definitely agree with you to an extent, where if everyone just keeps doing it, then it's going to, basically, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to say it's going to, like people are going to lose their skills and whatnot, but it's going to like hinder people. And with this next generation they're coming through, it is going to hinder them. But if people can, use this in AI in general can just use it just in for like other things there as well. Can just learn how to use it at the beginning through AI and whatnot. And then as they're getting better to then slowly maybe fade it out, you know, I think that there could be a way to go potentially for the future.
There you go. It's a complicated one.
Yeah, it is, mate. It is, mate. I mean, especially in like your in your space as well, mate, because like the film area and the editing area there, I mean, like honestly, mate, I actually thought that you probably would have said there that it would have been more of a godsend for you. And
we have a couple people at the studio who do think it's a godsend. I'm not one of those people.
Oh well, they are there, mate. Well, from my previous guest, Alex Roper, who asked a question at the end of each episode, I get my guest from that episode to ask a question for my next guest.
Yep.
So the question that Alex asked was, what is the best advice you ever had, or the most important life lesson?
Wow. Thank you, Alex, for that.
Yeah.
Big question there that you don't have to answer yourself, but you just pass on to someone else.
Well, Alex and I, we did actually talk a bit about. We actually did talk a little bit about that, but a little bit, but but it is a very big. It is a very big question. You know.
Do you have an answer?
Wait, I'm waiting for you first.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to answer now?
Yeah, go ahead, mate. Go ahead,
mate. I'm gonna do a typical Christianese move and use a Bible verse, if that's okay.
Go ahead, mate.
Go ahead. I think the most valuable lesson that I've ever learned was in Exodus 14:14, which is the Lord will fight for you. You need only be still. And I've learned that because I feel like in my life I can get so caught up in doing my own things, in planning my own life, in planning my own routine, doing my own things, thinking that I've got control on my own situation, my own destiny. But the times when I've trusted in God to lead me down different paths, He's come through and has radically changed my life. And so for me, it's about you can do all you want in life and you can have your hands on so many different steering wheels, but at the end of the day, God's still working behind the scenes and is going to show Himself to you in different ways, and it's going to radically change your life as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it reminds me of a television quote. Like,
sure.
It's not the one that we were talking about off air, which I'm going to get into a little bit there. But or people always even say this as well. I think you've heard this quote is like, everything happens for a reason.
Sure.
So I do think that there, with the way as how you're saying it there, I mean, it is, you know, true. I mean, how many times have we seen people where they sort of go out and, you know, think that they've got everything there sorted, but then all of a sudden something then does a 180 on them.
Sure.
And it really does sort of make them, and it really does, I think, make it very, very, I think that's what makes, life beautiful in a sense, to be honest. I mean, I don't want to sound very sappy about it, but I think that's what makes it, that's what makes life, shows the good and the bad. I mean, I think it, there's swings and roundabouts in life. And I think everyone, I think once you go through the hard times, it makes the good times a lot more pleasurable to want for a better word.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. In regards to my one for that one there, I normally don't answer the question myself, but I'm gonna answer it here as well. The best advice I've ever given. I mean, the best advice I've ever had.
Yeah.
I think. Oh, I mean, there's so much advice, that people have sort of been given, but I mean, I think one of the best advices to what a couple of people have always sort of said to me was, you've just, obviously seize the moment, live life to the fullest, but if you want something, you got to go make it happen.
Sure. Yeah.
You got to go get it.
Yep.
And that there, I think it is true, and I think that there is something there to which I think, look, if I could actually say that there to my younger self of 15 years ago, back when we first met, I mean, if I, like if I said that there, I mean, to myself there, then then it might have been a little bit better, but you know what? I think that the experiences that we've all had, I think it shapes us who we are. But I think one of the best advices that I've had, that I've been given was, and it would have been about 6-7 years ago, or maybe even close to 10, or like between 6, 7, maybe 8. I mean, I was around uni and whatnot, but a couple of people that I know have been saying it a lot recently, which is make it happen. Like if you want it, you go after it. If you want it, mate, then go for it. Nothing is stopping you. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? I mean, so yeah, that there's sort of what I would say there. And I think that there is a very valuable life lesson to which I think everyone should also sort of know. And I even think that it's something there to which I sort of I think I learned just recently as well is when you look at things back, it gets easier. So
okay.
So sorry. What I mean is that in the moment,
yes,
you think that it's hard.
Yep.
But then when you look back on it 5 or 10 years from now, you'll be like, what?
Sure.
And it gets easier.
Yeah.
It gets easier. Once you get through the hard times, it gets easier. But it's how you handle those hard times. Make it, I mean, because like I was reading this book.
Sure.
It's called Grit.
Okay.
By Angela Duckworth, I think. Yes, it's a yes. Okay. It is a book. It is a big book, mate.
There you go. Big book.
yes, mate. I mean, sorry, mate, because Christian's known me for so long, he knows that I don't like reading very much.
No, I'm just surprised because I don't like reading very much either.
Yeah. So, but I only started reading it like a couple of weeks ago, and one of the things there to which what she was saying in the book, and it was the very first few segments of the book of Grit, which was, she said there that the people there who are successful are the people there who have the determination and the drive, but also the path to sort of get there. So and also what she then said was that when she interviewed, I think it was people who went to West Point overseas in America for the military schools and whatnot, where people would drop out of West Point after I think a week in the beast barracks, and she said there that those officers probably would have had very good long careers as officers, but the ones that survived, even though they didn't want to be there, they just got up and they just kept doing it, and they just kept doing it, and they just kept plowing through, and they had that never give up attitude, and they just plowed through it. And then once they plowed through the beast barracks, they went on with their careers, and that's where I think that's a very important way of looking at it in life. I think you got to look at it from your worries from where you were when you were 18 is probably not going to be the same for when you get to our age, or for when you get to 50, or when you get to 60, or for when you get to 40, or 30 or whatnot, or even 70 or whatnot, and just like your worries back when you were 18 weren't the same as when you were 12.
Sure.
So I think that, and then when you then just got to look back at it, you then just got to look and you just got to go, why was I worried about it? So that's where I think that you just got to, that's some of the advice that I would sort of say is you just got to plow through it, and you got to show grit and,
there you go.
and whatnot.
There you go. What were your worries when you were 18?
Oh, mate. I mean, I think everybody has a bit of worries about everything. I mean, uni assignments and all that
Yes.
sort of stuff there, uni assignments and lots of other and lots and lots of other things there. I mean, and whatnot. I'm not gonna say too much, but yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of other things there as well. But yeah, I mean, and you're talking there a little bit about a quote there from the Bible. I'll actually say this here now. There's a movie quote that we were actually talking about because you said a quote.
Yes.
And because you were also talking a bit about videography and also working behind the scenes, I'm
Yes.
going to now say a movie quote, to which I think, in all honesty, I think the way of the how, and I want to know your opinion on it as well.
Okay.
What do you think on this here? Because I think that this quote is the epitome, is the way as to how I think society is at times.
Okay.
See if you can guess this quote.
Okay.
You'll either die a hero or you'll live long enough for people to see you become the villain.
That's The Dark Knight, spoken by Harvey Dent. Oh, yes. I was trying to figure out the actor's name, but I don't quite know it. But yes, I do know that quote. That is a very popular one.
Yes, because I've been seeing that quote a lot more through Instagram and Facebook a lot
Sure.
recently. I've been seeing that through my Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, and Facebook Reels. I've been seeing that so often, and the more I see it, the more I look at it, and I go, that is actually a really good quote, but it's very much like, but it's very much like the way how we are in society.
Sure.
When you actually think about it,
Do you think it's inevitable?
I think it depends.
Okay.
I really do.
You think it that it's not inevitable that the longer you live, the more experienced you become, the more not evil, but the more I don't know what the right word is.
Become more in the grey area.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think in certain situations that when you start out, I think take a job,
Sure.
for example.
Yep.
A boss.
Mhm.
A boss might be, a new boss might, be a hero to his to his staff because he might implement some good things
Sure.
for his staff members. But then as time goes on, if he makes one or two decisions that his staff members might not like, then it's gonna wear them. Then it could wear those staff members down, and it could, get him to potentially look at being the villain.
Yeah, that's true. Sorry, I was trying to think of examples like that because that's a good one.
Yeah, because like even in today's standards, I mean, like as a politician,
Sure.
Yeah. Like how many times have we seen it where political leaders,
Yes.
leaders of a party, for example, they go in and they, lead their party for so long, and then all of a sudden, people then after a few years they then go, nah, he's the villain or something.
Yeah. That's true. I don't know.
I was just using that as an example.
Yeah. In regards to the quote and that kind of idea, I guess I'm a bit more generous. I'm a bit more like, I don't think it's inevitable, and I also don't. I think we're too harsh on people that we would be saying that to, because it's important that they don't look at themselves as the villain. And I think when you frame it like that, you understand that we're all just individual people who don't think that we're evil when we're doing bad things. We have our own motives and our own kind of lives going on.
Exactly. I agree. I agree with that. I mean, I think, I don't think seeing everyone as the villain. I don't, I mean, like I always,
No, yeah.
I mean, like I definitely do believe in second chances, but
Yes.
I think that as time goes on through experiences, we do become
Jaded?
No, yeah. I mean, either there or I'll say grey at times. I mean, like both good and both light and dark. I mean, like we all have good and evil
Yes.
in us.
Yes.
I mean, like we all do good things.
Yes.
We all do bad things.
Yep.
I mean, at times. I mean, whether it's cheating on your diet or
Sure.
whatnot, or cheating on your diet. I mean,
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't say that there, whatnot there, mate. But and we all do good things. Whether it's I can't think of something.
I think as we grow older, I think the world just gets more complex and more harder to understand. I don't think it necessarily becomes. I don't think we or the world necessarily becomes more dark or more sinister in nature, but it just becomes a lot more grey.
Yes,
a lot more difficult to sort out the black and white.
Yes, that's that. I believe that's I couldn't agree more with that. I think that, to be honest, the way how I sort of see it is our life. We are the main character of our own story.
Sure.
And you can either think of it as a book, or you can think of it as a movie or a TV show. Actually, a TV show probably would be a lot better. And each year is a season.
Okay.
That happens in a television show. And whatever happens in that season, and you can't go back. You can't change it. You can't retcon it. As much as a lot of writers would love to try and retcon some stuff and whatnot, I think I'm pretty sure you would know a few writers that would love to retcon some stuff there, mate.
Don't get me started, Kieran.
But when it's happened, and I think that's sort of the way as to how life can sort of be.
That's true. Yes. Thank you for inviting me on the podcast, but I'm going to say I'll push back on that a little bit.
Go on. Yes, go on.
Because I think thinking of ourselves as main characters in our own stories, I think that's a very dangerous way of thinking.
Yep.
Because I would hate for people to think that going around in life that they're the main character. Because would everyone else not also be the main character in
Yeah, that's true.
And if you're starting to treat them, let's say, as like secondary characters or not the main character, then what do you think that looks like?
Yeah, I do see your wow. I mean, like I do see your point there, but I mean, I think it also depends on like kind of like I think that's also the way as to how you would want to be like as your protagonist. I mean, like how you would treat the people around you. I mean, like I know that we're going a little bit too far out into
getting very big
into this sort of category and whatnot. But I mean, like I was always taught that you got to show respect to people.
Totally.
And all that there. So I think that just by seeing yourself as a main character, obviously like you got to focus. Obviously, like you got to do what's best for you for yourself, but you've also would also want to try and help other people. So I think that yes, I do see your points there in those aspects and with those facts. I just sort of think that it comes down to, I think, the way as to how, or the type of person that it is in that area. I mean, like if you're someone that's always about me,
totally,
then this analogy probably wouldn't be best suited. But if you're someone who has the analogy of, like giving back, always wanting to help out, like I'm always wanting to help people and always wanting to find ways to better improve yourself, then like you can help other people, but everyone else is in their own little main character sort of thing, because they're off doing their own things and you're doing your things and everyone is doing so many things. So that's where I think that it just depends on the person.
There you go. That's very true. That was very big.
Yeah. I mean, wow. I mean, yeah. I mean, like, to be honest, I actually didn't expect this sort of the part of the conversation to actually go on like that there. I mean, because we went from the films to that there to life advice and all that there. But I mean, so I'll ask you this here now, mate. When it comes to films and when it comes to obviously like with quotes and whatnot,
sure.
Do you like, what is one of your favorite movie quotes and why?
My favorite movie quotes. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's such a difficult question, Kieran. one of my favorite movie quotes. I don't know. There's so many. There's so many good quotes. Let me, I don't know. Its vision is based on movement. That's from Jurassic Park. There you go.
Yeah.
There's so many quotes I think of. I don't know. So many.
Yeah. I mean,
what was the first part of that question? Sorry, I feel like I went straight to the second.
Well, okay then. I'll say this part then. Name me a quote that you think that has kind of like with the Dark Knight.
Sure.
In my one.
Yes.
What's your equivalent of that with the Dark Knight? With my one.
Like a movie quote
that you find that can resonate.
Okay. With very little prep time, I'm just gonna say from Everything Everywhere All at Once. Which have you checked out?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen that one.
Can recommend. Oscar winning, I think. And there's this quote. It's like a multiverse story, but done really well.
Yep.
And there's this quote that one of the side characters says to the main character when they're in this complicated, really crazy espionage parallel universe, and he says to her, which is his wife, in another life, I would have enjoyed just doing laundry and taxes with you, which is like in a parallel universe, that is their life. And to me, that's really tragic and that's really beautiful. It highlights the small things in life that, like, as crazy as whatever can be, like sometimes just doing the small things, just like having a coffee and just doing life with someone else it's
big.
Can be the most beautiful thing.
Wow. That is big.
So there you go. Check it out. Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Wow. That is actually really big. I mean, like,
there you go, Kieran.
I mean, you are right. I mean, it also shows the little things.
The little things.
That, people who would want, to go out and, see the world and do all those traveling sort of things there, but also just to sit there and just be just sitting down, having a coffee with the one that they love, or or someone very important with them. It really, like that there. Wow, like it really does put things into perspective with that one.
There you go. I got you good on that one.
Yeah, mate. You did. So let's circle a little bit back there, mate. A little bit back into the in regards to the videography,
yes,
and all that sort of stuff there, because we were talking because we're talking about AI and and all that sort of stuff there, and you don't, and you had your disagreements and all that there, but what about with video? But what do you see in the state from back when film was made? Back when you started watching your first video in Jurassic Park, the one that got inspired you there. Seeing now,
yes,
obviously change of technology, and obviously, we've had like CGI, and we've had all that good stuff there that's put on. But what other changes have you actually sort of seen now, especially now that you're also behind the scenes a little bit more?
Sure. Yeah. I think one of the important things and one of the great things and one of the more difficult / grey things is that it's just become so much more accessible to everyone.
Yep.
And the barrier to entry for making intriguing, interesting visual content has just become a lot easier and a lot lower in terms of the bar for everyone to enter. You don't need to go to film school. You don't need to be in the US and do whatever course and whatever. You can just make stuff on your own. And I think that's really, really cool.
Yep.
That if anyone sees something and they feel inspired, then they can just make it and then they can do it. Thanks to things like social media and YouTube, anyone can get picked up, anyone can get noticed.
Yep.
I think of so many kind of great Australian filmmakers like James Wan, who did the Saw franchise. I think of like the Filippelli brothers, who just did an Australian horror film called Talk to Me. It was like last year or something. It was incredible. And they started out making like home videos of themselves, like making wrestling videos in their backyard as kids, and they have a YouTube channel.
Yep.
And I think that's so cool that anyone can just be inspired and then make stuff and then can end up there. Because I don't think it was that kind of, well, it definitely wasn't that open years ago because of the technological kind of requirements.
Yeah. It reminds me a bit, it reminds me, I think, of that story from, I think, as to how the Paranormal Adventures sort of...
Paranormal Activity?
Yes, that film.
Yeah.
I hate horror films. So, yeah, mate, mate, I mean, you've been trying to get me to watch horror or thriller films for so many years now. I mean, I think you should just give up. But I heard a story about it that it was literally not a film production. It was literally just one guy, like how he was just filming parts of his family and how he just did those did those effects there himself and whatnot. It's almost kind of like that film was a bit ahead of its time, to be honest, because now people like what you were saying there started out doing that.
Sure.
And now and now they were doing all that sort of stuff there. So yeah, I mean that's just what I sort of think. And what's your take?
I mean, I think Paranormal Activity in your example there did a great job at kind of doing really well done horror in such a low key intimate manner, where it is just some guy with his own film camera, whatever. Because you watch that film, and I remember the whole hubbub about Paranormal Activity was the fact that it's not actually a movie. Like, you're going to go see it like some guy's documentary that he actually made. Like, this is legit. And I was like, please don't ever say that again. But I love that film really did, it made it so easy to make. Making that was so easy. I think you can look at the budget for something like that. They've got the stats online, and the turnaround on how much it made is absolutely insane.
Yep.
Because that movie does not look like some high budget blockbuster, whatever. And the fact that there was 6 or 7 of them is insane.
Yeah.
And so I think that was definitely a wake up call that, especially with horror, you can do really good stuff on a low budget, whereas you can't do that with something like action or sci-fi.
Yeah, I mean, take a look at the Winnie the Pooh.
Wow, that was a bit. Look at that. Yes. From Paranormal Activity into Winnie the Pooh.
Yes, I mean the reason as to why I'm bringing that up is because I just saw I saw the trailer of that. I think what was it, last year?
Yes,
I think I saw the trailer of it there last year, and and it just sort of just went viral, and it went viral to the point that where it got put into cinemas and theaters, I think over in the US, and they made a huge amount. I can't remember the exact amount that they made and whatnot, but it was enough for them to go and do a sequel. And the sequel, from what I saw on the trailers, looked like night and day, and you could just sort of tell a little bit because of you could just tell that they had a little bit more, that they had a little bit more money from that there. And it just sort of even just goes to show that, even through the likes of social media, something can just blow up, and
totally,
I mean, and it can actually set you on the path. I mean, who would have thought that the Winnie the Pooh horror film would have gone off? I mean, would have gone off.
That's true.
Like a hit. I mean, people who I was talking to was sort of saying, why are they doing that? Why are they doing that? I mean, even to then other people who were then saying things such as this is something here to what I would I would just want to see this just because it's you wouldn't expect it.
Totally.
It's like a parody of it. So I definitely do see that there from the behind the scenes. What do you I mean, because obviously you're seeing the behind the scenes, but you're also seeing the stuff on the set and the behind the scenes and through the likes of the technology and all that there.
What about on the screen? I mean, like the changes and all that there. I mean, like
Okay.
I don't want to sound like saying like is the acting the same level as
Sure.
it was there in the past, because we don't want to say that there,
Yeah.
because like there are classic films,
Yes.
you know, and I think as time goes on, the films that are, you know, right now, or even the films back in the year 20, I mean, like even in the 2010s, I think in the next 20 to 30 years
Yep.
will be, you know, some of them will come up as classics and whatnot. Some of them,
Sure. Yeah.
you know, and you know, so like I'm not going to try and sort of compare like
Sure.
that there, but like, do you think that getting your first shot into breaking into that area, even from like obviously like from behind the scenes, but also on the front of the camera, do you think that like has it gotten easier, or has it gotten a bit trickier?
Are you asking if it's easier for people interested in acting to get into feature films? Is that the question?
Well, I mean, even in small films, or even in your ways there.
I mean, it's a bit difficult for me to answer that because I'm kind of I'm behind the camera.
Yeah.
But I would say, with no research whatsoever, I would say that it's probably a very similar situation as well, where you don't have to go to various acting colleges and whatever to get into some sort of production. Whether that makes you a good actor or not, as the same as whether that makes you a good filmmaker or not, is a completely different question. But I think it's easier to get into something.
Okay.
And what that something is, whether it's like a Hollywood blockbuster or whether it's just a short film that goes on YouTube, I think it's easy for someone to get into that something.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very interesting take, and to be honest, I think you can relate that there to any aspect in life.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it is, you know, I mean, like take a cook, for example, like someone there who wants to be a chef. You know, like you don't have to just go all like you don't have to fly all the way over to England to go and ask Gordon Ramsay to go and teach you how to cook and whatnot.
Yeah.
You know, like you can just start out, you know, just cooking in your kitchen.
Yeah.
Learning those recipes,
Sure.
you know,
Yeah.
finding a good place to, you know, of someone there to, you know, finding a good restaurant in your area to sort of go from there and, you know, and build it up that way. So, yeah, I mean, that there I think is I think that way there is a very good way of looking at it from a bit of a life.
Everyone's got the potential.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I think that's where, I mean, going back to what I sort of said, in regards to us being the main protagonist of our own lives and whatnot. I think because we can do anything, you know. I mean, if we put our minds to it, and if we do live our lives, and if we can work hard, and if we can, you know, put the effort in, there's nothing that I don't think that we can, nothing that we can't achieve. I mean, obviously, you know, there might be some limitations in certain areas, but I think that if we put our minds to it, there's nothing that can stop us.
That's true. Everyone just needs a bit of grit.
Yes.
Was that the name of your book? Grit?
Yes, of the book that I'm reading, and to be honest, mate, I actually recommend it. I actually recommend that you read it. I actually recommend that you read it there, mate. I'll see if I can find another copy or something like that there, and give it to you, mate.
There you go. I must admit, I'm not too much into those kind of books. Believe it or not, I'm into
just
really horror books.
Oh, mate, look, I'll say, oh, mate, I mean, like, I hate. Sorry, I don't hate. I mean, just that they always jump scare me. Those horror films, those horror films there, mate. You've been trying to get me to watch horror films for so many years now. It's, and even reading horror books, like, I mean,
it's not for everyone.
It's not for everyone, but I'm probably gonna have to show a little bit of grit if I'm gonna have to read.
There you go.
Yeah,
nice.
But I mean, just from the stories that I mean, even for the first few pages that I've started reading in Grit, the stories of it, it shows that the people there, that all you just got to do is just turn up.
Sure.
And I think that's a way of going about it there through life. And I think, I mean, like kind of like what you sort of said there with your with your Bible quote there, in the fact that like almost everything there happens for a reason, and God is guiding us. But we just got to show up. We've just got to show up and almost like let God almost lead us into the path. But we've also got to. But it's a two-way street. You know, we've got to be willing to go down His path, but we've go down their path, and we've also got to be willing to let that path happen.
There you go. Why does grit stand out to you so much?
I think what lured me into it, the first few pages was because of the West Point, because it's regarded as a high military school, and just the numbers. I think I'm trying to remember the numbers off the top of my head, because they had, I think they went down from I think 2,500 applicants down to I think it went down to 1,500, then down to 500, and I think went down to like 200 or something like that there. But there was but they just kept cutting off. But then when they showed the schedule for the ones that went there with that went to West Point, the people there that wake up at this time, do this for that time, the structure and doing that week in, week out, or day in, day out, it would crack people. And that's what it sort of said there in the book at the start, and that's what lured me into it, and that's where I just sort of, what I got out from those first few pages was, you've just got to show up. You've just got to show up, and you've just got to do the stuff, and it's like you've just got to do the stuff, and you've just got to keep going and going and going and grinding and whatnot. So that's where I think that book. Sort of,
it sounds like you're talking about discipline.
Yeah.
Do you believe that more people need grit, or should understand grit, or don't have it?
I think everyone has a chance to be grit. I think everyone can have grit. I think when the chips are down, it depends how our grit goes and whatnot. So I think that there is a really big factor. I think that there is a key factor for that. You're talking there a little bit about discipline and grit. Do you think in your opinion that, structure, discipline, do you think people?
I mean, when you were talking then, it made me think of my mum.
Yep.
Because my mum and her family came to Australia from Vietnam in the middle of the Vietnam War.
Yep.
And this was when she was a little girl. And so the things she experienced and had to come to terms with and escape from and escape to is obviously way bigger than I can ever hope to imagine.
Of course.
And I think of how difficult not just the journey here was, but also how difficult it was to be in another country and to set your roots and to get comfortable and learn the language and everything else that comes from changing your whole life. And I think that's where she is, and now she's a successful CEO with multiple aged care homes, and she's living the life. And I think when I think of grit, I think of her, because I think I got my grit from her and this drive she has to just kind of be disciplined and just get on with it and just do it. And she managed to do it.
Yeah, I mean, wow. I mean, that there, I think just that story there from what you was just saying there. I mean, of course, leaving coming here to Australia and just, during that time and all that there, and just setting down roots. I mean, people travel. I mean, I know that I'm comparing apples and oranges, but
yeah.
like people go to different countries for like even just a couple of weeks, and and they don't speak
Yep.
that language, and that language barrier there really does make a bit of a difference and whatnot. But imagine living, but like I couldn't imagine moving to another country to which I just don't know the language of, and that I like. Yeah, I mean that there really does show a lot of grit and a lot of discipline and a lot of determination to just sort of just to keep going and just to keep showing up and all that. There, it's inspiring, to be honest.
There you go.
It really is. I mean, because it does show grit, it does show determination, and it does show how you can like from the language barrier, going from that learning English to then being a CEO. It really is a like very inspiring story.
There you go. She'd love to know that.
Yeah. I mean, wow. I mean, should really go. Should have really also asked Mum to also have come in here as well and whatnot. But maybe next time, maybe if we do if I do a Mother's Day episode, what I might do is I might invite you and get your mum, and hell, we can even get we can even try and get my mum in. Or
that would be very embarrassing for both of us, Kieran. If they were both here, they would be exchanging stories back and forth. We'd have to delete the whole episode.
Yeah, that there is actually true. But in second thought, we'll just have your mum. We'll just get your mum.
Sure.
Yeah,
No, that's true. I've got my fair share of embarrassing stories as well. Don't worry.
Oh yeah. That there is true. That there's true. And I think we all got our fair share of embarrassing stories there. So, but yeah, mate. I mean, I do. So before I finish up and before I get this here, let me go back to filming because I know that we're going from filming to then the quotes and
sure.
And obviously like you're going to be coming back on at some stage as well then, mate, because you're also like, to be honest, mate, you're very interesting person there to have a very interesting conversation with, but also someone there who as someone there to who I grew up with in high school. I mean, I would always call you my moral compass when I was in high school. Always someone there to who I would always just sort of look at as my moral compass and whatnot. So
it's a broken compass there, Kieran.
but I'm gonna have you back on and whatnot. But I want to finish off with the film or the videography and whatnot.
Yeah. What would you like to know?
What do you think? Firstly,
yes.
Where to now for the film industry
going
forward? Like for it going forward.
Okay.
And what do you think it's going to be like in years' time?
Years' time.
What can we expect? Because I mean, like there's already these talks about putting AI sort of images of people on there, and like of like even of past of actors who have passed, and that there I think has been quashed, and I agree with that because honestly it would be a disservice to those characters. But what are we going to sort of see in the future for the film industry as a whole, but also in the videography and the editing and just just that whole space there? What can we see happen in the future for that? But also, what's next for them?
What's next? Oh my goodness, we're gonna try and take a look into the future now. I don't know. I'll have to speak to some Hollywood executives and find out. But I can tell you what I hope does not happen next, which is that I hope we see more original ideas.
Yep.
And I hope we see less franchise or pre-existing material. Not that superhero films aren't great and sequels aren't great. Whatever.
You're wearing a superhero jacket there.
I
now,
sure
folks.
am. But I just hope we see more original ideas more creativity. I hope Kieran, when I retire, they're not up to the MCU Phase 15 or whatever. And I'm like, back in my day, we used to watch films that had no superheroes in it and stuff like this. And I'm not. It's not just superheroes; it's a bunch of other stuff as well.
Yeah.
So I hope we see more originality and creativity with the platform.
Yeah, I mean that's very interesting. I mean, like I remember my favorite all time action film of all time.
Yeah,
Die Hard. Die Hard. I love the Die Hard franchise. I love Bruce Willis. I love the John McClane franchise. I mean, I love John McClane. I think he just the way as to how he goes about things. It's very Bruce Willis. He acts the hell out of that. Seeing later on, Die Hard 2, 3, 4,
sure.
and A Good Day to Die Hard.
Right.
I look at those and I go, if they were to make a another Die Hard post Bruce, that I wouldn't want that. No. I would much rather sort of someone to just start something brand new.
Yes.
So I definitely
so
I definitely do agree with that.
I just want to say, I know we've already been going for like an hour because I've seen the console, but I must confess, I only watched the first Die Hard like a couple of weeks ago, just because someone at work was for Christmas in July.
Yes.
Because they were talking about a Christmas movie or not, and I had not seen the original Die Hard, and I watched it, and it was so much fun, Kieran.
Seriously?
So much fun. I loved every second of it, and I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it. I was like, this rivals anything that's in cinemas now with how much fun it is.
Yeah. I've known you for 15 years, and you've
never seen it.
And you've heard me talk about it that many times.
Never seen it.
Wow, I thought you have. I thought you had seen it. Wow.
No.
But just quickly onto that there, because you sort of said there that it it is a very interesting take there as to what you sort of said there as to how it could rival sort of films of today's sort of standards.
Yeah.
My question to you is, and this is like, I want to know because you're from that world, and you can say it if you want to, or you can be as cryptic as you want. Is it the writing that's changed? Is it just sort of the times, or what is it that I mean? Obviously, Die Hard would be an all-time classic, but like for it to rival a film that's sort of in today's sort of standards, there from what you're saying there, what is it? The fact that the film was just that good, or is it the fact that the standards today are either a little bit lower or a little bit higher, or something like that there, or whatever, or something like that there?
I mean, I think when I watched Die Hard, I think the things that stood out to me was, number one, I think you're spot on, that the thing that stood out to me was Bruce Willis's kind of charisma and like his presence on the camera. Like, he just takes up the whole camera, and you just can't take your eyes off how good he is in that film.
Yes.
Like the lines and the quips and the action, you just love him so much, and he's so good in it.
Yes.
Maybe even like a Keanu Reeves today.
Yes. Johnny Wick. Yes.
And so I think he stood out to me. But then the other thing that stood out to me was just how fun it is.
Yes.
Like, you just can't help but smile and laugh at the explosions and just have such a good time with it. They don't take it seriously. Well, they take it somewhat seriously, but they're having fun making it, and you're having fun watching it.
Yes.
And I had such a good time with it. In kind of a broader strokes question, I was actually talking to someone at work about this because I had watched the original Ben-Hur, which was like a 3-hour epic or whatever, like way, way, way back in the day.
Yep.
And I watched that, and it honestly made me sad watching it.
Oh, really?
Because the sets are so incredibly grand and so incredibly huge, and there's like shots and scenes where there's like thousands of people in a shot, and the crowd work and everything is so incredible. And I can't help but look at films like that and films of that age and go, man, did we lose something like in cinema? Like, when this medium evolved, I can't help but feel like we lost something along the way. We lost some sort of magic that we've kind of just milked it now. And so it made me really sad watching it. And so I hope that there's still some of that magic left.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that we can sort of have some of that magic come back. I mean, I haven't seen that film, but I'll definitely check in. But you are right in regards to the charisma. I mean, like Bruce Willis in like almost every film that he's in, he just owns it. And I think that in regards to like certain, like for me, before we get too far onto it and whatnot, but I just sort of think that there's a handful of actors that right now that could sort of own it.
Keanu.
Yeah, I mean, like Keanu, I'll leave that list up for you there to decide, because you're the one that works behind the scenes and all that sort of stuff there. So I'll leave that there to you. But there are certain actors that own it, even in the small screen, even in like your television ones as well. There's in today's one, there's only a handful, whereas before, I don't know, there was either there was a lot more, or either they were just with a lot more cast that could own the screen, if that makes a bit of sense.
No, that makes sense. I actually think a lot of it is kind of, we moved away from like classical Hollywood, classical actors. Because I think when we look at someone like Keanu, or if we look at someone like The Rock or whoever, they're kind of more so personalities than they are actors.
Okay, yep.
And I think that actors and films of like classical Hollywood, it's definitely a different space. And so I don't think we can kind of just compare things like that. But
I mean, I definitely do agree with that. Especially there. I mean, even here in Australia. I mean, like we've got our very own actor. You know, I mean, like we got our very own big actors. You know, I mean, in Australia, I mean, hell, we got tons of them. That's come over here. I mean, that's started off here in Australia. You know, from the likes of Hugh Jackman, Margot Robbie,
the Hemsworths.
Yes, the Hemsworths. So yes, the Hemsworths. You know, I was going. Oh no.
Short list.
Yeah, no. I mean, like I was going to say Nicole Kidman and yeah. I mean,
Russell Crowe.
Yes. Oh well, he's New Zealand, but
is he really?
Yes, but we can. But
we can still take him.
But we can take him.
So we can take Taika Waititi, if you know who he is. That's okay.
No, I haven't. But even now, even also for the likes of I'm just trying to remember. There is another one. I'm just trying to remember, but even likes of like I think people say like Mel Gibson is also
he is,
and also
he sure is,
and Aussie, but so we formed like our own sort of group there as well with like a charisma one, but yeah, I mean I do think that that's something there to which we are starting to sort of see go away from, and I think it is sort of. I mean, I'm not saying that it's detrimental to the film, but I think it's what's also might be putting some people off in certain films and or putting off wanting to watch those films and whatnot. But what next for the films? I mean, like obviously we have streaming, and obviously we then have the big productions, like the big theatrical films and whatnot. What next? I mean, like, are we going to see films that are going to be made for like reels? Because like I see those commercials on your Facebook or on your Instagram with those longer stories. Are we heading down to that path? Are we going to start seeing some of those, or are we more or more so, are we focusing more onto the streaming now, or are we, like, what next?
Sure. I mean, there have been films made that have been shot on Zoom and, like, only using screen capture and stuff like that, which is really exciting. As for, like, streaming and all that, I honestly wouldn't be surprised, Kieran, if we went back to a more kind of free-to-air method.
Yes.
I've heard this theory before, and I think it's quite true, that the amount of streaming services that we have right now and the amount that we could be getting in the future is really starting to go more than you can count on your fingers. And so when you look at it like that and you look at kind of the channels of free-to-air TV, it's kind of almost looking like that, but just separately.
Well, just take a look at our time back when we were growing up in the early 2000s. You know, Channel 7. Like I remember on Tuesday night on Channel 7, All Saints would always be on at around 8-9:30. You know, Blue Healers would always be on, I think, on around a Wednesday or a Thursday, you know, and all that.
All right.
You know, I mean, like, you know, I love my Australian TV shows. I mean, like, I love those shows there as well.
I was watching Power Rangers, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, I used to watch them as well. I mean, for back when I was a kid, but as well. But even then, I mean,
Sure.
like even then, like you had like a schedule. You know, you'd watch The Simpsons at 6 o'clock, Neighbours at 6:30, and then you then go to Home and Away at 7. Over to Channel 7. You know, what I mean, like that's what most family households were. Nowadays, you know,
chuck on Netflix or whatever service you like.
Exactly, and I think that there is sort of, I think, changing. I mean, like because you sort of said it just then and there. I mean that we're having so many streaming services that the amount of number of that in the palm of our hand, it's really one that's, I think it's going to affect a lot of Australians. And I think that, you know, I mean, like it's one of those chicken before the egg sort of things, I believe, because it's like, well, where are you going to put people on? I mean, like, where are you going to put people on? I mean, like on those free-to-air televisions and whatnot, like people aren't going to watch it because it's on free-to-air. But then again, if there's so many of them, like people might be reverting back to that free-to-air. It's really one of those interesting times, which like I really don't know what's going to happen, and that's why I was just asking you what do you think is the next that's going to happen?
Yeah. Someone at work had mentioned this idea of fatigue, and I think it's very true that even though streaming services have such a vast collection of films and great shows, etc., the choice that you have in selecting that is staggering and can often be so staggering that you don't even know where to start. And sometimes just not choosing anything to watch is easier. Because at least with how we used to watch TV, you used to just flip through the channels and then you'd find something cool and you'd be like, let's watch this. Yeah. Whereas now you kind of have to log onto a streaming service and you're presented with however many different films and television, and then you have to make the choice. And sometimes that choice can be exhausting and trying to find the right thing. There's so many options, blah, blah, blah. What do you feel like, etc.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more with that, you know, because like we are getting from fatigue, you know. I mean, hell, like I still even remember, you know, I mean, like during the commercial breaks, you know, I mean, like you would always go and get a drink or go to the toilet if you needed to, you know, and then quickly rush back before the next segment of the show would then begin, you know. I mean, whereas with streaming services, it's like it's that word fatigue, I think, says it very, very, very well. And so because we are heading towards so you think we're heading more towards the free to air?
I've heard, so just to clarify that thought, so the idea was not necessarily that we're going back to free to air TV, but the idea of kind of collating streaming services into kind of one hub, which in essence, if you look at that idea of collating streaming services into one kind of centralized place, that's kind of just free-to-air TV. We're kind of just back to where we started. Yeah,
kind of like a TiVo or sort of something like that. They're over. I think Foxtel already do that now.
Sure, yeah.
Like they already do that now, where you have like a little box you have like a little Foxtel sort of thing there, and you just put your subscriptions there through it there. And whatnot, but you didn't answer my question in regards to regards to the, are we going to see like longer versions of the shorts, like film ones made like for the square one versions of our phones?
Are you asking, are we going to see an hour and a half YouTube short that we watch?
I won't say like an hour and a half, but I mean, like, are we going to start seeing like more content like a film, or like not so much like a film, but more content like that, more so dedicated for the phone and for the hand for the hand
for
there.
vertical.
Yeah, for the vertical, not the horizontal and vertical is that way, I think. For the more so for the reels, and then the more so for like the reels and the shorts rather than a phone or rather than a TV.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that content already exists.
Well, we've already
a longer story split into kind of shorter bits that you see on TikTok or whatever.
Well, we're already I have been seeing those some of them, but I'm just sort of I just sort of want to know, is that sort of the next step in regards to sort of like big films? I mean, I want to say big films. Sorry, is that sort of in the filming and the editing sort of space? Is that sort of the next step? Are we going to start seeing more of that?
I don't think feature films or anything like that will be going into that space to make dedicated content for that space. I think they're mindful that space exists and that they can cater to it and cater to the people that watch it.
Yep.
I don't think you're gonna be watching the latest John Wick in vertical on your phone.
Yeah, I mean, look, I definitely do. I think that those actors there will probably be more like the big screen ones. But I mean, I do think that we will start to see more of a rise in shorter stories for the phones, for like the reels, because like that there, I've been seeing that. Been seeing that happen. I think I sent you. Did I send you or did I send it to someone else? Because like it was like a 40-minute long like Facebook short.
Sure.
Or Facebook Reel. It was like I think it was a paid sponsorship or something there, like, because I was just flicking through it and I saw it and I was just like it was one of those stories there that you just sort of have to just sort of encapsulate that you just sort of want to know, okay, yes, I want to get to the end of it so I can actually see so I can just sort of, flick to the next one. But it just kept going on for long and long. And that's where I was just sort of like knowing, because you're in that space, is that what should we start expecting more of that?
I don't know if you should start expecting more of that. I think the underlying thing is we're just seeing content made for specific platforms. That's fair. I think of kind of vertical and square and kind of these different, the different dimensions and the different deliverables that you can watch. I know people on YouTube that will film their videos in vertical format, even though you're watching it probably on a computer or on a TV or whatever.
Yep.
And so I think what we're just seeing is stories told across multiple formats. I don't think it's going to be leaning any which way.
Yep. So it's more, I think it's more of an evolution of the way as to how things are going. So, okay, yep. So that there is the answer to my questions there in regards to what can we expect there in the future. Is hopefully we can expect more stories or separate franchises, or not just franchises. That I definitely,
that's what I hope.
That I definitely do hope as well, because like as much as I love the Die Hard series. If it gets to Die Hard 15 or Die Hard 20 and it's someone else replacing Bruce Willis, I wouldn't be watching it.
Yeah.
I'd much rather someone else. I'd much rather them have a different series rather than doing that. So
and life wouldn't be very exciting if it was Die Hard 15. You would never end up with kind of anything that tastes different.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if they, exactly. So I do think that, that wouldn't be a good thing. I mean, I do think that we need to have some more stories, and more just, either just one-off films or even just like some sequels of like certain, of like other good certain films. But I think most importantly is that as long as they just sort of just tell the story pretty good, like, I mean, as long as it's either not a complex story and it's a good story, then I think that anything after there, give it enough room for the actors to own the stage. After that, there, I think is all fine.
What's the last movie you watched that you really enjoyed, Kieran? You can't say Die Hard.
The last film I watched, it was actually just recently. It was an old film.
Oh yeah.
Well, it wasn't an old film. It was an old film. It's called, I think it was, Crimson Tide.
Crimson Tide.
Yes, I watched that on Disney Plus. Yeah, it's an old, it's a,
Okay.
yes, and I also watched, I also watched another. I was actually no, yes. I also watched Deja Vu.
Oh,
with
whoa.
Denzel Washington. I love that. Took me bloody years to find that film. So I saw that once. I was like, going, I love that film, but I couldn't find. I didn't know what it was until I saw that film again. It was Deja Vu,
Oh my goodness.
and another old film, or
Sure.
it was around the early 2000s. It's got John Claudine Van Dyne.
Yeah.
Sudden Death. I love that film. That was that there is a very good film. It's a very good film.
There you go.
So those are some of the ones there that I've watched.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are a couple of the ones that I've watched, and then I've watched like just some comedies and
sure.
whatnot.
Yeah.
Like Grown Ups.
Okay,
That one's a good film. But what about you, mate?
What about me? So I've already mentioned I watched this film called Let Me In, which is a horror film made by two Australian brothers. I think
Yep.
they grew up in Canberra, I think. And it's Australian, so they're Australian actors, and it's Australian story.
Yep.
It's horror, so it deals with kind of the paranormal and stuff like that. But it's got a great kind of social media take on horror.
Okay.
And I absolutely loved their style of filmmaking. You can absolutely kind of, if you didn't know it was Australian, you can kind of get a sense for it in
Okay.
how they treat it.
Oh yeah.
And I think some of the stuff they did in it was so creative and so exciting that I think it's so exciting to think about what other Australian filmmakers are in the waiting.
I'll have to add that to the list of potentially trying to watch. Maybe to watch. But just one last question before I send you to the big question, which is what is my question? What is going to be the question for my next guest? But
Okay.
before that,
Sure.
I got to ask:
Oh, no.
any aspirations on getting into the big screen or the editing into the big screen or into the television market?
Sure. So not at the moment, no.
No?
Maybe a few years ago, I would have said yes, but now I'm saying no. And I think that's because very kind of early on, I just made the promise to myself that, hey, if I get to do what I love and get paid for it, and I can do it for the glory of God, and I get paid enough to put food on the table and etc., then I'm happy with that, and that's the end. And so I'm more than happy where I am now.
Perfect. And all right then. So this here wraps up this week's episode. But before I let you go there, Christian,
Okay.
I'm going to hand it over to you there to give me the question to what you're going to ask my next guest.
Okay, I would love to know what the next guest wanted to do when they grew up. When as a kid, what was the thing that they looked up and was like, I want to be that. I want to give that a go. What's that thing, next guest?
Okay, yeah, that's actually really good. I mean, I think for me, I wanted to do so much and whatnot. There was this television show just quickly called Castle. With
Nathan Fillion?
With Nathan Fillion and whatnot. I love that show. But how he just plays as a big kid and whatnot, and how he's a writer and whatnot.
Sure.
But he then said they're like a space cowboy and whatnot. And I always wanted to either be like a space cowboy or even something like a space detective or something like that there and whatnot.
There you go. Soon.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You can go up and rescue the astronauts that are stranded.
Oh, mate. I mean, mate. Hopefully by the time this airs they're back and home safe with their families and all that there. So hopefully by the time this airs, they're back home safely and whatnot.
Yes.
But,
Space cowboy.
Yeah, but anyway, that wraps up this week's this episode of the podcast. Christian, thanks again for agreeing to come on for this week for this episode. Definitely going to be having you back on at some stage, whether it's it's not going to be next episode and whatnot, because that'd be kind of, well, actually, to be honest, that would actually be kind of funny having you on as my next guest.
You'd have to chain me to the desk again.
No, you're not. but to have you answer your own question, and whatnot. But again, mate, thanks again for coming on. And yeah, to be honest, it was a blast having you on there, mate. Brought back to life the conversations that we would have there back in high school there, and even when we would catch up and all that there, mate. Just all the conversations, and whatnot there, mate. So again, thanks again for coming on, and it was a pleasure having a very interesting conversation. I learned a lot there from you, mate, and all the best with your future endeavours, and I'll see you next time on. I'll see you next time on the next or not on the next episode. I'll see you in the not too distant future.
Thank you very much, Kieran.
And that there wraps up this week's episode, and thank you everyone, and tune in for the next episode.